and then you can have whatever you have to say. So we know that, okay, people thought Jesus was crucified, and this perception is now documented in writing and John. We see that. It's very clear. This is what they said. So this mistaken perception is what the Quran is saying. Yes, a crucifixion of some kind happened.
So you're saying, where was this?
Islam is different. In Islam,
About 600 years later. No, when you say the Quran, Prophet Muhammad came, and the Quran was, when he was aged 40, the Quran was revealed to him for 3 years. So he died in the year 630.
Well, within the lifetimes of the guys, they was there. Are you saying that they were there and that actually Muhammad, I mean, 700 years later, knew better than those people who were there at the event? Probably there at the event.
Let's understand the issue at hand. Are you suggesting in any way that the only information that we can have confidence in is when it comes from the people around that time, contemporary people and their writings, right? So because the Quran is far away from the event of the crucifixion, it cannot be reliable or confidence put in, trust put in, like we can put in the Bible. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting that it's likely to be less reliable than the people who were there.
Was the New Testament writers present when Adam was walking in the Garden of Eden?
No.
Right. So when they write about these things, we will have very little to rely and have confidence in their writing about when they wrote about these things, right?
Yeah, but they're not,
be consistent.
They're not necessarily writing about precise historical events. Some of it is for sure.
Right. So we cannot rely on them. They may be false.
They may be false.
So you believe the writings in the New Testament about the histories of the ancient times of Adam and Noah, they could be false.
To take it logically, it's possible they
Do you
could be
believe
false.
they could be false?
It's possible they could be false. I'll say no more than that.
So
But
you
what I'm saying is, I'm trying to draw the analogy of history. You've got a 700-year gap between the Quran supposedly being written 700 years ago. I think it's debatable whether it was.
Debatable by who?
Well, all sorts of different people, not just
Like who?
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I do know, that's why I'm asking.
Well, exactly. So
because you're making up claims, and some supported claims.
Okay, I'm not a scholar.
Neither am I.
But I have to collect my evidence from somewhere, and I try to pick it as wide as possible.
Yeah, don't go into hyper-skeptic field and collect your evidence from a hyper-skeptic individual.
Well, anyway, let's go back to the point.
History.
You've got someone writing, in theory, writing about Jesus' crucifixion 700 years later the event, saying it didn't actually happen. But then you've got Josephus, Tacitus, Roman historians at the time writing the events. They were not Christians. They had no truck with Christianity or the way at the time.
Tacitus. Let's deal with Tacitus.
Okay, well maybe he wasn't. I don't know. You can tell me he wasn't around for the time. But anyway,
around. Let's leave Tacitus out. Who else? Josephus?
But
shall we deal with Josephus? Let's do everything. Because we need to examine those evidences that you bring, and you realize the manuscripts of Josephus is actually about 8, 9, 10 centuries after the event, the earliest extant manuscripts. The Quranic manuscripts predates.
Well, hold on a minute. Josephus was around about the time of Christ, was he not?
Do we have his manuscripts extant from his time? Writing of those.
Do we actually have his writings? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Do we?
I don't know.
No, we don't. His manuscripts are from the 9th centuries, 10th centuries, 11th centuries.
But they must be copies of the original.
You have no original, so you can't just bring in this hypothetical original. There is no original.
But do you have any original Quran?
It's in the heart.
Ah, well, You see, that's just
and
passed
hang
out.
on.
Well, that's Chinese whispers. So you can say
Chinese whispers.
You can say the Quran's
So
a load of rubbish
basically,
as well. Then.
basically, you don't understand how the Quran is transmitted. Shall I tell you how the Quran is transmitted?
If it's transmitted by verbal
No, by
communication,
memorization.
Well, that can easily be changed. Well, that's just
Really?
Really?
One second.
But I mean, it can easily. Be
Really?
changed.
Really?
Of course it can.
Okay.
Come on. Look. Okay.
Do you know how meticulously Quran is memorized? Do you?
But which Quran? Which Quran?
The Quran the Prophet taught us.
No, but which Quran?
I just said, Quran the Prophet taught us.
There's lots of different Qurans, so which one?
No, there is only one Quran the Prophet taught
No,
us.
there's not. You know there's not. You're standing there saying that to me, and you know that's not true. Listen, you've got the Basra one, you've got the ones in... There's 4 or 5 original, what they consider to be original.
They're
all different.
In what way?
Well, you know they're different, so let's not just say that, because you know, you can't just say that by that.
You cannot bring your ignorance and your assumptions in a discussion.
You know that.
First of all, I have several.
You know that they're all
Listen,
different lanes.
Let me tell you.
They've all got different numbers of surahs. You know that. And yet
Absolutely
you stand there
false. You're making claims
true.
which are absolutely false and absolutely.
You know that's not.
What
you
we
know
call.
it's true. You know it's true.
Basran Quran, right? Where is it?
I have no idea where it is.
You said it, right? You made the claim. Where is it?
Well, if it's Basra, it's likely to be in Basra, isn't it?
Right. So we can go and check this Basran Quran and we'll find it's different.
You'll find it's different.
You said that. You will have longer surahs. You said that, right?
I didn't say longer surahs. I said
What did you
different
say?
number of surahs.
Different number of surahs, yeah? So you would not have 114 surahs, you would have 120, whatever, right? Different. Would you be kind enough to research this more and come back to me?
Absolutely, because
Right?
it's fairly easy to do.
That's what you think, right? Because Jay said so.
No.
Right.
No,
good.
I do not.
Very
just
good.
Take my
very
stuff
good.
from Jay, thank
excellent.
You very much.
Excellent. So you're now going to bring a Quran with different number of surahs that are in existence today, right? You're going to do the homework and come back to us. Your dreams will be shattered when you do come back.
They won't.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Going back to
Going back to
the
this is
original
Josephus.
point.
Josephus.
No, hold on. You're trying to tell me that Jesus. I'm trying to get to the point of the fact that Jesus was died on the cross, as the Bible.
I say it was a rumor. It's a very well
Well,
attested
you're
rumor.
saying it's a rumor, but what evidence do you have to say it's a rumor?
God informed us that it was a rumor.
So God just decided to tell you that it was a rumor.
Doesn't God decide to tell every prophet of the event of the past what went wrong or not?
No,
And you-
I'm talking about a historical fact.
Wait.
Fact that happened
The
on
Quran
Earth that is
and the Bible
historically
is not only a
recorded.
historical book. It's a theological book which you believe the Bible is inspired by God. We believe the Quran is verbatim words of God. If God tells us what happened in the Garden of Eden, you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to believe in it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I'm sticking to the point of Christ being hung on the cross and dying on the cross for your sins, I might add, is testament by historical fact that event.
That is not a
took
historical
place.
fact. All you're providing
No, the
is
Quran
a...
the Quran
all
denies,
you are doing,
no, hold on,
Quran doesn't
no,
deny.
let me stop. The Quran denies that Christ died on the cross.
Because he didn't.
But how do you know?
Because all you have is a rumor that's been spread. Tell me now. Okay.
No, you have.
Let's examine the evidence.
You have a historical document in the shape of the Bible. It is a historical document.
Let's examine that
and
document.
you're complaining.
Okay,
that,
let's examine
you're,
the document.
You're claiming that the Quran is.
No,
a historical
I want to examine this document. The people who are writing this document, were they narrating history accurately? Were they narrating history accurately?
I'm claiming that
I'm
Matthew,
saying-
Mark, Luke, and John wrote down a historical event of their
Were they
time.
accurate in their information?
As far as we're aware, yes.
I'll tell you that it is not the case. Let me give you my
But
example.
how do you know
I will
that's
tell
not
you now by giving you evidence. Matthew talks about, these are the very beginning of his first page of his gospel. These are the genealogies of Jesus Christ. And he traces the people. And he gives the names of the people. He didn't just make the people from planet Venus and Earth and Jupiter and so on. He was talking about historical people. But guess what? He fabricates history. He distorts history. He said, oh, and Jeconiah and the brothers, whose son was
Sorry.
Josiah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
5 minutes
Okay.
to go. 5 minutes.
No, well, you're going right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with Christ.
But I'm going to make my point why. How Matthew distorts history. He makes Jeconiah the children of Josiah, when Josiah was their grandfather. he omits the name called Jehoiakim.
Well, okay, we're getting away from the point again.
I'm not getting away from the point. I'm showing you how
No, because you're taking...
Matthew does not give us accurate historical information.
My key issue here is that Quran denies that Christ died on the cross. I'm saying the Bible and several other historians besides claim that he did.
That's a rumor.
No, we have historical. As far as
that's what we're examining the rumor. We can examine the rumor.
As far as the historical documents say, and that's what all we've got to go on. You and me.
All
and
you have
else.
is a rumor.
No,
that's
we
all.
have historically written down testaments.
By who?
Died.
By Matthew. Let's examine Matthew. I say Matthew made this up. If I say Matthew made this up, I can establish that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've made my point.
You haven't made your point. You're just about to go. You know what? Next time, come and we'll discuss properly.
Running away as usual, huh?